Welcome to the episode, everyone. My name is Adam White, Senior Director of Technical Marketing here at Sumo Logic. David, good to see you again.
Good to see you, sir. How are you doing?
Doing all right. We both have our different types of coffee, but coffee
Yes.
nonetheless. We spent a lot of time before this jumping on here talking about coffee, which was fun. But we're going to talk about another topic today, which is survival tools and just kind of technology in general. Some things that seem like they would be baseline technology for organizations that interestingly are still showing up in the news that's clearly not the case. So there's actually this shipping company in the UK, a 158-year-old company with 700 employees that is going out of business because ransomware gang found one password, infiltrated the business, and yeah, they're closing shop after 158 years, which is it's unbelievable to me that, and not to, I mean, look, I'm sure these are good people and they tried hard at their jobs on the IT side, but there are just some foundational components of a business that you have to have, and a password manager still is one of those, even though it seems like that we shouldn't have to still be saying that.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, one, it's just horrible. Like
It's,
all those people
I
are gonna lose
mean,
their jobs.
people, yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
real world consequences, which is just terrible.
But that's the thing. It's like I think people put the security guys in a box in the corner, because they've been screaming the sky's falling so much, and they've just kind of given up on listening to them. But there are real consequences to this crap. It reminds me of like on my consulting side. Uh, I was trying to do something for small businesses because two of my good friends got hacked. One of them owns a small construction company. Obviously, they have like no security team. They're like a company of like
Yeah,
40 people or something. They got hit for like 37,000 because they got their email intercepted. And it was basically the same kind of thing. Like we went in, they were friends, so it wasn't like consultation, but it was like,
helping
okay,
them out.
yeah, get a password manager, put all your employees on the password manager, set up, MFA, two-factor, just basic stuff that we've been, hitting the gong about for 7, 8 years now, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you haven't heard turn on MFA yet, like you're not listening at all.
right. Yeah.
But
I mean, what's
yeah,
so interesting about it is just even from a workflow perspective, some of those things are just cultural shifts that you have to drive in the
mm,
business. I mean, you and I both, I'm sure, have seen sticky notes under keyboards when you go to a dentist office or something like that. It's just like, oh man,
I
what are
point
you
to them at the
doing?
dentist's office and say HIPAA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All of your records are belong to us. But the workflow actually, I think, sometimes there's resistance to that just change, and we're humans, but I find and that I rely on like the browser knowing what site I'm going to, the login, that it's using a strong password, not just the password that I was using plus a new character at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Plus
Um,
exclamation point,
yeah,
plus one.
right.
Like,
And then the worst is when you go to reset the password and it's the password that you knew
100%.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you said something there though that caught my ear, which is culture. I a lot of my research and all that kind of stuff has been more around social engineering culture in corporations as opposed to here's the strict security policy. And man, especially in these smaller companies, no one is going to do these things if it's not top down. And
Yeah.
the problem is that executives or owners in smaller companies, um, they just can't be bothered half the time, and they don't get
Yeah.
it. And it's like, wait, you're setting the tone for the whole company because you're, the CEO or the owner or whatever. But if you just don't do the security stuff and don't enforce it, like trickle down culture wise, then
Yep.
like why do you think it's ever going to get done? And I
Yep.
don't know what happened at this place, but I see that a lot, and especially in smaller companies like under 200 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's always, that interesting, like one, just kind of, everyone in a business is responsible for the security of the business, and sometimes people just don't know. Like I'm ashamed to admit, early in my IT career, I worked in a data center, kind of like a call center off of the data center. And my brother and I were out one night. I was like, hey, let me take you by the place that I work, and for whatever reason, my key card let me into like the data center part, I was like, look, raised floor, all the blinky lights, and the night guy, that night was like, what are you doing here? And why is he here? And that was a very real for me, like, oh wait, you can't just bring anyone in, I mean, again, I was early. It was, learned a lesson, but like it's the same thing with, and it's a mentality that I'm talking about. Not all these things are exact parallels, but like tailing people in a office environment, where it's just like, oh, let me hold the door for you. No,
Yeah.
like don't hold the door for people. Like, do they have a badge? Are they supposed to be there? Are they visiting? And again, it's just this mentality that I'm talking about. That's the parallel between these things of kind of like security is everyone's job.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. And well, one, if I would have got caught in that data center, I would have immediately sent them an invoice for red teaming exercise to cover my ass on that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's true. It is. And security guys are kind of the worst about it. Like when I used to work in office, just quarterly I'd go in office. I've never had a security job that wasn't remote, but you go in and I was just like appalled at the physical security at our building, so I would
Yeah.
just constantly bypass it as a joke. And then one time I was like, dude, you're the security architect of the company. Like, what kind of culture are you showing when you're like
Can't be doing this.
hitting
Yeah.
hitting all the sensors with upside down canned air and stuff to walk in instead of using
Right.
your badge? I was like, oh, I guess at some point I have to grow up and not
Yeah.
do that. But yeah, the culture thing is huge, and
Those
it's got to make its way down. It's got to be,
yeah.
everybody's got to have buy-in that counts.
Those magnetic doors are hard to get around. They are.
Yeah. Oh, I can get around, especially in
Yeah.
California because they have a designated spacing, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Well, so there's the cultural element. There's also, I was just thinking as I was looking at that article, that 150 plus year old company, like letting go of budget is hard for businesses. I get that. Like budgets are tight, but some things in your organization you can't afford to not spend money on. And look at the consequences here. I don't know that it was a budget issue that didn't, that made them not have a password manager or a strong one at least. But gosh, if they had just spent a little bit more money, they might not be going out of business. So you just have to have an honest conversation as a business of like, what are we spending money on and how important is it actually to our core ability to continue being a business at a certain level.
Yeah, I'm always saying that the security side needs to be flexible for business outcomes, all right? Like we have to be a business enabler. We can't just be this department of no.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, it's like the business can't ignore security completely either. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely had pushback
Well,
moments.
well, you can,
Yeah,
but
you can, and we're not saying we don't know what happened there. So,
yeah, of course.
but I mean, the reality is most companies have tech now. And okay, let's say all companies have tech. Even, like the landscaping guys who are, I'm in Florida right now and they're like killing it.
Yeah.
But it's just like a few
Invoicing
guys.
that. Yeah. I
Yeah, they're
mean,
still invoicing, they're still doing email, and like those guys are bringing in 1 million a year.
yeah.
And it may just be with like paying cash and that kind of stuff, but you get one of those invoices set up to automatically go to a different account because you didn't have your email set up right. And that payment option, if you're not on top of things, you might be out 100 grand that year. You don't know,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
I have like a big soft spot for small businesses. I owned one. I started a solutions architecture firm doing welding and fabrication when I lived in Hawaii, and all my friends are super blue collar. And I tried so hard to make like a affordable package for small businesses for security for Honey Badger, and no one wanted to pay it.
Yeah.
And it was like, for consulting, it was like cheap. Like, but no one wanted to pay it. And I think I was tracking, I had like a list for a while there, how many people that I knew that I tried to get that happen. And I know two of them have been breached and got scammed out of it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple stuff, right? Like but it's just implementing it, I think, because anybody can look these things up. But I think having someone just tell you, like, hey, you need to do it this way. Um, it's super important. Someday I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make some open source thing that like trains small businesses for the very
Right.
basics, and just yells at them.
Sounds like a good gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. There, so I mean, we talked about the culture, budget. I mean, there's also kind of the shelfware component of things where it's like, it makes you feel better to have something, whether or not it's configured properly or it's catching, this, anomalous behavior or, even is set up to kind of like best practices is another thing entirely, So yeah, it's just you have to be vigilant all throughout, change your culture, spend the money on the appropriate things, and then make sure that thing, whatever it is set up to maximize both your investment and your security landscape, now that you actually have something in place. It's just not enough
Yeah,
to just have something.
yeah, exactly. It's like, we've talked about multiple times that I just come into sim deals when I was in sales and see the sim that they're paying $500,000 a year for is not set up.
Yeah,
The incumbent one that you're going against, you're like, what? And it's
yeah,
like I've kind of hammered this home. Like whatever you buy, you need a time period to set it up and get the practices in place before you try to buy another tool.
right.
If you're like, okay, I need to get security, password manager, and email for our company, and then you buy all three of them, you're not going to get them set up right. You need to like,
Build the muscle of using it, like
yeah.
actually. Yeah, yeah,
And I think, that's the thing is some of these small companies, they may just have, endpoint and email and then a password manager, but who knows? This company might have had one and they just didn't enforce anybody using it, right? So it's
yeah.
that, yeah, it's actually getting things done.
So we were talking, just a minute ago about kind of other things in the landscape. So password managers, just for anyone who's watching that doesn't have a password manager, get one, make sure that that's a part of your business. But then some other things like, browser security. I mean, most things that you interact with these days, like fewer and fewer things are standalone applications on your desktop. Most of it is you're working in some, cloud solution, and therefore browser security is something, from a survival tool perspective that's easy to overlook, but can be pretty detrimental.
Yeah, I kind of have like, I wrote a little thing that said deep fake detectors are the next password managers.
Yeah.
But there's like a couple, you still need password managers. That's not going away.
Yeah, right, right.
But you still need like a couple of things. I think browser security and deepfake detectors are kind of the next thing that we're going to start seeing. And on the browser security ones, I think there's SquareX and then there's another one called like Layer X or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, it makes so much sense because the reality is, I mean, if you've ever looked at phishing data, like people don't learn stuff, right? I mean, you can see like a 15% increase towards, safer workflow and stuff like that. Unless you have a really good security culture, then you actually see a neat climb, but most businesses don't. So you kind of have to just protect people from themselves. And damn, we will click on anything. So like now that everything runs in the browser, like think of everything you have in your browser. You have your Salesforce, you have your email, you have all your docs, you have your password managers lives in the browser. Everything lives in the browser. So
Yeah.
what I think we used to think of like, oh, we got to have antivirus because antivirus is going to protect our like hardware and like on-prem stuff, which is so foreign to me because I'm weird. But that's what browser security is now. And
Yeah.
I actually met the guys from SquareX at RSA and got to like play around and chat with them and had dinner. It's really cool. I have no affiliation with them, but really cool stuff they're doing. And I loved it because when I was more on the pen testing side, I was like strictly app based. Like I'm a Burp Suite guy. And just seeing everything that and knowing everything that can go on there and all the JavaScript running behind you and click jacking and all these kind of things,
Right.
it takes care of all that stuff. So you don't have to train your people as much. It'll just tell you
Yeah.
like, hey, you can't click on that dummy. Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, and I mean just those layers of security, because not everyone, I mean, I guess you need to educate people, but you also want people doing their day job, and you can't just have them like so on guard all day
yeah,
long that they're scared to do the things that actually fulfill the objective of your business, so we in technology have to kind of do some of that job for them and give them a cleaner and more secure environment in which to work.
yeah, exactly. I think that's like the browser security stuff is kind of a perfect example of business enablement from a security. It's
Yeah,
like go do your work. If you click on crap, it'll catch it and it'll
right.
stop.
Yeah,
And you just have to listen to it. If it tells you like, "Hey, dummy, you're on the wrong website that looks like the real website," like get off of there, like
yeah. It's
so
like that net in front of you at Top Golf. I'm always
yes.
worried that I'm just gonna go crazy and spin off the platform, but the net's there.
I always want to go lay in the net. Is that weird? Like I just feel like having a beer in that net is like a vibe.
I think you treating that as a hammock would be
Yeah,
a good way of getting kicked out. Probably,
probably.
probably.
That's all we need is like more sumo people banned from Top Golf. I don't know if there are any now, but just it's not a good look.
Right. It's just not a good look in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So deepfake detection is an interesting one because I feel like it's not just my parents, but it's a common refrain to my parents and my mother-in-law, like, all right, the world in which you live has changed a good bit in the last 5 years, but for sure the last 2 to 3 years. And you kind of almost need like your lens of the world almost needs to assume AI first, and
Mm,
then like, okay, maybe it's real.
yeah.
Just because of how prevalent it is. I mean, we see videos on X and other platforms and stuff, and it's like, is that actually representing an event that's happening now, or is it something that's modified? I mean, just the whole landscape is just interesting
Whoa,
on.
whoa, whoa. So you mean Bigfoot and Yeti aren't actually drinking beers then going base jumping?
Well, the infant version of them was doing a podcast,
Yeah,
and
it
I just
was, wasn't it?
thought that was really good. Taught
Are
me some.
we AI?
We, hey, now we we're treating our viewers to some version of Inception right now.
If our AI is me, we've done a really shitty job at it. Like I feel like
It's
it could be
we
a
need
lot
to
more
start
entertaining.
over, start over.
Yeah.
But on the deepfake front, it is again just an interesting landscape of like, all right, how do we parse reality from AI, and like what is the job of the person, what is the job of technology in you know separating those two things.
Yeah. So for me, I've been a pretty big fan of X5. They're like the first company that's made a usable product. There's a few deepfake detectors out there, but they're like running on your system. You have to like set up stuff. These guys are making it as like an app. I think they also do it on hardware and stuff. I don't know completely, but
Yeah.
for me, especially for our old folks, like I worked at 1Password and my mom will not use a password manager. Like that's the life I live. And but if there's a deepfake detector app and I put it on her phone and every time she's watching whatever news and if something comes on that's fake and it just comes up and says like deepfake detected, then
Yeah.
at least like she'll be like, "Oh, okay. That's a little something. That's a little sketchy." And I think this is one of those instances where I got excited about this because I think it's like gonna change the world in a level where everything's already starting to become so fake if you're in the internet a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and we need to really protect people who don't think that way, like you said. Like you and I look at everything very pessimistically, maybe. We're not, I mean, both of us are
Skeptically.
very like
Yeah.
upbeat people, even though,
Yeah.
well, I hate security. But besides that, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like 99% of the world just looks at things for what it is and takes it in. we gotta like, I hate like misinformation or something like that, but it's like you need to see when you're being manipulated. And the scariest thing for me from someone who loves and studies history is when the masses are manipulated, we don't have a good time. So
Yeah, a
this is,
healthy amount of skepticism is good in today's world, just
yeah.
and the deepfake detectors like technology can actually help us with this and I keep using that phrase, but kind of build that muscle of like, oh, okay, maybe I need to think differently about this thing that I see or read or, am presented.
Well, and it took the thing with for the adversarial side, I actually started thinking about this like immediately. As soon as the videos started getting better, I was like, I would smoke everybody phishing right now. And
Yeah,
not because the emails. Like I would be cutting through and doing the setting it up where it's like, hey, make sure we do a live Zoom call before you send that $175,000 transfer. And
yeah,
now, your 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 audit or whoever, people handling your finances probably aren't super security I mean, they probably are a little bit more than other people, but they're not expecting those things. So if they jump on and they see Sally and Sally's like, "Hey, just wanted to confirm that it's me so we can get this done." And they're like, "Yeah, click, boom." Oh my gosh, if I was a bad guy, I'd be so much more
yeah.
wealthy.
It's a scary world from that perspective. I mean, I've even read and seen reports of like using voice AI to
Oh yeah.
like, a family member in duress or something and, trying to get ransom money out. I mean, talk about scary and also like hard to parse that reality from non-reality in real time. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, the world is getting weird on that, and the faster that technology can keep up with that and help keep people safe is you know, a good goal, obviously.
Yeah. This is my prediction on those. Like they're going to become a part of corporate security.
Yeah.
So everybody that touches really sensitive data or finances. So your E-suite,
Yep.
your CTO, his team, and then probably like whoever controls your IP stuff, like really, really important, maybe it's your head of dev or something like that. People who have the keys to the kingdom are going to have these living on their phone and on their computer 24/7. And then
Right.
for normal public, like, I mean, I don't have it set up on mine, but I'm probably going to. Like,
Yeah.
I just need to get to a point where I actually explore it and look at pricing and all that kind of stuff. But I've been kind of an advocate about these for, I don't know, 2 years now. But all of everything I saw until recently, I've just been like, man, it's too much work. But people are finally figuring things out. Like, security needs to be easy and fast.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I hope the XFi team and some of these people, I haven't actually put it on my phone yet, but I'd be interested to see where that goes. But from like a nerdy business point of view, I'm really interested whether those things are going to scale private sector fast or corp sec fast, because I feel like it's going to be just that security tool set, like the whatever we called it, what'd you call it earlier? Survival tool
Survival
set.
tool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
survival tool set. Yeah, it's gonna be just part of that. You're gonna have to have it. Just like now we're like, oh, you have to have endpoint and you gotta have a sim. I feel like
Yeah.
those are gonna be the next things.
Yeah, and I mean these are the kind of things like from a detection standpoint, from a incident response. Like this is the kind of thing that could go back into a SIM as like we've detected a deep fake, and you need to know about it, So
Yeah.
and to your point too, like landing the plane back to password security, some of these things that are cutting edge now are going to become as necessary and foundational as something like a password manager in, you know, I'm going to sound like AI for a second, the evolving world we're living in,
Yeah, I knew you were AI. You're too
yeah, I
nice.
just had to prove it to you.
You're always
Uh,
positive. That's how I know. No, I think you're right there. And you said something else though that's actually really interesting to like maybe some of our nerdier viewers that are sim people. We're gonna have like a whole new set of detection engineering rules that
yeah,
are gonna come out of this space. And it's going to be neat to see like our internal threat labs team, how they kind of build deepfake detection rules and browser security rules rolling up into our correlation for entities. And
exactly.
like, You'll be able to see just
It'll just
weird
be another thing that you plug
lateral
in. It's
movement.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It'll be fun to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, fun. I'm like, obviously, I'm a dork. So,
No, I mean, yeah, we wouldn't be good at our jobs if we didn't think that things like that were fun.
yeah,
So
I just want to watch it all burn. I mean, help save, same thing.
said AI David.
Yeah, said
Um,
AI, David. Ooh, I need one
Well,
of
David,
those.
this has been a fun conversation. Again, just talking about some of the foundational things, but also the things that, again, may become or will become the foundation of IT security going forward. So it's been fun as always. Cheers, coffee brothers here,
Yes.
and I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye. Thanks, Adam. See you guys.
Thanks.